My Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Rahim,
Assalamualaikum, my name is Noor.
and welcome to We the Youth. I'm just gonna read the tongue twister because I haven't memorized it anymore. Welcome to We the Youth, a podcast for the youth by the youth. We're the youth that will discuss the youth for the youth to tell you the truth. I regret writing that so much. Okay.
Okay, it's okay. It's here now.
So,
You just said it. It's on here. No,
alhamdulillah. Again, so Noor, assalamu alaikum. We're like a week into Ramadan, more than that. You've told me a little bit of Ramadan stories, and I'm gonna spoil it a little bit and say you're like amazing, Noor. What the heck? Like,
it's just been wild. That's it. It's just like honestly, every day that it's weird because every day in Ramadan is different from the last. And last Ramadan, when it was just quarantine, it was kind of like waking up, doing the same thing, cook, eat iftar, sleep, watch a movie, and that was it. But this Ramadan, like every single day is different. I almost passed out last week. This weekend had to meet. Like things are crazy. That's fun. What about you? What about you?
I I would say like similar. It's at least a little bit similar, but not to nearly that extent. For me, it's mainly just making sure I'm not like falling behind. And then with taking the vaccine last week, and then now this week being an absolute nightmare, it's just like different vibes are going around. One is super mellow and I'm getting zeros in classes, and the other one is super hectic and I'm getting zeros in classes. So, I guess it's not that different. It's it's something.
It's like I said,
Alhamdulillah, no, this Ramadan is the one to fix my zeros in the future. The ones I have now are gonna here to stay. They're my friends.
so what do you think you're eating today after iftar?
Ooh, good question. Actually, I have no idea. I'll have to ask my mom, unless my brothers or I make something, or my father. He doesn't ever cook anything for the family. Actually, we're not that progressive yet, so we'll get there one day.
Monday.
How about you?
I think I'm eating ruz and bamia, which is basically okra and rice, and it's
Okay.
like really good. People really hate it for some reason, but I think it's really good, and I will
I've
not be happy with people who don't like it.
I've
Sorry,
not heard of that meal before, so
it's Egyptian. You had to have been
yes.
there.
And if you guys don't already know, my family's from Pakistan. Pakistan. But what's it called? I don't know where I was gonna go with that. I was gonna say something about not having been there for more than like 2 weeks without having food poisoning. So, uh, either way, Noor, would you like to introduce not the guest? Spoiler alert, we have a guest,
Yeah.
but what another aspect of this podcast that's unique to this episode is
It is fundraising. So, as you know,
what?
this wonderful organization, Muslim Youth of North America, is
Money.
having a fundraiser. And we'd like to just begin it off by saying that if you are interested in donating or know someone who is able to donate, you can go to minna.org/give to donate, and you'll be supporting a wonderful thing. And we'll talk about that hopefully later in the episode and all that good stuff. And again, to like put the episode in perspective, we wanted to start off with a little hadith and just get everything going. I'll
But the
just
hadith isn't directly related to
yeah,
fundraising. It
sorry, that
is,
sounded like
it's
it was.
more related to what we're going to talk about, which
Yes.
will, yeah, you'll see.
Also, we'll be unraveled within the rest
Yeah.
of the
It's
episode.
like cinema. It comes together as you watch.
Exactly. Okay, and this is the English translation because I'm not that confident in my Arabic. But Moses said, "My Lord, relieve my mind and ease my task for me, and loosen out from my tongue that they may understand my saying." Surah Taha, ayah 25 to 28. So
Okay, this is such. First off, one of my favorite stories is Prophet Musa's story, and this is really interesting to me because it's specifically talking about his speech impediments. They said that he had, I think, a stutter. So when he's going to go give a speech in front of the Pharaoh, how are you going to do that with a stutter, especially in those times where I'm assuming that they were a little less inclusive to people with speech impediments. So um, having the courage to do that, you have to have a lot of confidence to go up in front of someone and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and just have that tawakkul that He's going to help you get through this in
mhm,
your speech.
definitely agree with that. And tell me, Rahim, how does this hadith tie into what we're doing today? Care
Man, I
to?
thought you were gonna segue. I
I
give the
know.
perfect setup. You just
Sorry,
had
I'm
to.
sorry. I
I
failed.
even said the word confidence. Yes. So as Muslims, we should be confident in ourselves, as Prophet Musa alayhi salam was confident in his own self and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, probably mainly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll probably both. I'm not gonna assume what the Prophet was thinking. That's like either way. Yeah, we should be confident in ourselves as Muslims, and being a Muslim should give you confidence, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has your back.
Yep, exactly. I definitely agree with that. And to welcome a Muslim who does some pretty awesome things, we have today on the podcast Sister Yasmin, better known as Yas Guru, with over 25,000 followers on Instagram. She's a comedian who is outspoken about her Islamic identity. Please, drum roll, hand clap, anything for Sister Yasmin.
Ow, ow, ow.
Assalamu
Woo!
alaikum.
I'm gonna do it all.
Do it.
Walaikum assalam. Thanks for having me on here, guys. That Quranic ayah is beautiful. لما اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I say it before I go on stage every single day, every single time.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What are you doing here?
I'm Yasmin. I'm a mom. I'm an attorney. I'm a comedian. I am a Muslim American. I am really proud of empowering other people. I like supporting women. I like supporting young people. So this is a great platform to talk to other people about, especially the young people, about like being confident, like you guys said, and being okay with being a little bit weird or being different. It's your
Yes,
superpower.
it's nice to know that I'm in at least one of the demographics of people you'd like to support. So that's
You are
good.
you are a part of the
Yeah,
youth, Rahim. You are a
yeah,
part of the
one of
youth.
yeah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Single. Yeah,
Thank
so
God.
out of your description of what you are, one kind of stands out from the rest. I mean, I don't know if that was just me, but Ryan, which one stood out for you?
Well, I was actually gonna say, it's nice that you start out by introducing yourself as a mom, which is super
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah, it's
Uh,
the most important part of my identity. Faux show.
Alhamdulillah. Although you
Yeah.
did end with Muslim, so that's like attorney before Islam. That's whatever. We'll ignore
Well,
that.
I'm. It's a bit. It's. I mean, religion is a part of my identity, but it's not. It's. We're not all one thing. We're many
Yeah,
different
yeah, yeah, no,
things.
no, it's of course.
And Islam actually, it's like the prison that we see everything in. So of course I say it at the end because it's the catch-all. Rahim, trying to catch me in being a bad Muslim. I just saw what you tried to do there.
Yeah, what are you trying to do, Rahim? Yeah,
I
like
was giving you the
I'm just
opportunity to turn
I'm
it
just.
around on me.
yeah,
I
exactly.
love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
alhamdulillah.
You're a good guy.
But you did
Appreciate it, man.
say you go on every time you go on stage. What are you going on stage for, and how often do you go on stage?
I do comedy. I do stand-up comedy at night. So I'm a lawyer by day, stand-up comedian by night.
Super cool.
I go in comedy different places. I've been all over the nation. I've traveled in the UK as well. It's been pretty cool. Went to the Chicago Laugh Factory. It was at Gotham Comedy Club in New York. I've been to different universities. The Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. That was a really cool venue. And I do a lot of Zoom comedy these days. Probably my biggest performance at the Kennedy Center here in DC. That was a big deal. But I've been at the DC Comedy Loft and DC Improv and lots of other different spots. But my favorite places probably to perform are those where people can just feel free and it's okay to laugh. That's not always the case in most places, I feel like. But I like in general performing to a loose audience. Zoom is kind of not so fun to perform in, but it's okay. It's what I do these days.
Different environments,
It's
yeah.
a different environment. Yeah, it's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I still get to connect with people, like, and I get to also perform. To be honest, Zoom is actually a big blessing because I get to perform in front of audiences that I would have not normally been able to perform in front of, like in New Jersey or in California or wherever.
One thing that stood out when you were saying was that you said um, attorney by day and comedian by night, right? And then immediately
Yeah.
after you were saying that one of the places you were like doing it at was a place called Gotham, and I was like, just pulled like a Bruce Wayne thing right there.
Yeah, straight up Batman. Yeah,
Exactly.
Gotham was a cool place to perform. That was a whole. It's just been a cool experience. It's been a cool ride. I've been doing comedy now for 4 years, and I really started because I just thought I am Batman. No, like I just wanted. I have two identities. I wanted to just be able to talk to people on a human level, and I feel like comedy is a really powerful communicator. It's a very powerful tool to talk to people about things that are hard to talk about sometimes when it's not funny. Janezas are, I guess, some things
Yeah,
that
that's
people want to
hard to
talk
talk.
about.
Yeah,
It's hard to talk.
yeah.
Someone could do that, but I like to talk things about like, being an immigrant in the United States. I like to talk about marriage issues, dealing with your kids, driving you nuts, racism in the society, being looked down upon just because of how you look on the outside. Those are the kinds of things I like to tackle and talk about in comedy. And I started it really with that intention. Like, I want to show that Muslims are human. They're totally human,
And
And so I'm
totally
guessing
relatable.
sorry, go ahead.
you said you started at around like 4 years ago, which places you firmly as an adult. Um,
Yes.
and so how the idea, at least that I've sort of been fed, is that it gets harder to try new things as you get older. How did you get into that? How did you push yourself to do that?
Well, I had my first son with me, and I was just thinking, like, they children teach you a lot of things, but one of the best lessons I learned from my son, I now alhamdulillah have two boys, but one of the best lessons I learned from my son was that just because you fail doesn't mean you're a failure. If you are not willing to risk it all, you can't gain it all. And kids are amazing at just bouncing back. They're so good at resilience. If they fall over, they don't look at, the toy that they tripped over and be like, I'll never play with that toy again. I can't believe that toy did that to me. How dare the toy? That's not what they're like. Ah, cool. I just fell. I guess I could try it again. And they just get up and they dust themselves off, and they hold no grudges. They have no expectations. They keep trying. Their intentions are always for joy. So that just taught me that it doesn't matter if you risk it all. It's a lie, really, that you can't start something new at any age. You can at absolutely any age. I saw people that were memorizing Quran starting at the age of 90. I've seen people who are going to law school in their 60s. I know of a physician who started practicing as a physician at the age of 58. That's for me
Wow.
is very inspiring as people who are constantly dedicated to the journey of life and the journey of learning. I think if you're not learning, you're not growing. And this life is about growing. And, the Prophet Muhammad said that even if you know the next day is the day of judgment, even if you know everything is ending, the whole world is ending, we still plant that tree. And that for me is a good analogy. I feel like I'm planting a tree for the future. And each one of us is a tree. So we have to water, we have to nurture, we have to change the soil, we have to be in the sun. We have to keep trimming our hedges and learning and growing and being a place of shade for other people. So I'm all about that, man, until the day I die, inshallah.
Yeah, and even like earlier today, like I was talking about like I had like a track meet the other day, and I was like, I'm like a sprinter, so I don't really run that far of a distance, and like a 400 meters, like one lap, and it's kind of, it's mid distance usually, and like for no reason other than like pretty much torturing myself, I was like, hey, let's do it, and like I was like absolutely so nervous. I can't even, it was horrible, and I was like not even, I didn't want to do it. I mean, I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I had to like get in the line, start going, and then I just did it, and like obviously it hurt, and obviously it sucked, and then like come like yesterday or the other day ago, I had like another meet, and one of my earlier events got canceled, and I was like, I'm gonna do another 400, and I was like,
Amazing.
they're like, why would you do that to yourself? I'm like, I don't know, like just do it. I mean, like it's fun to just what you can do,
Try,
like
yeah, try something and kind of expand your horizons. I always say every point of pressure is a point of expansion in your life. So you put a little pressure on yourself and you saw a new version of yourself, a new shade of Noor came out, right? She emerged. That's what we should all be. That's what we should all be striving for. So that's impressive, Noor.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah,
proud of you.
it's a tough one, but it's fun. You know, like it's in
So,
its own way. It's fun. Kind of like yeah. It's just
it's a
weird.
challenge. It's a
Mhm,
challenge.
definitely. Especially in like
So
the midst
cool.
of Ramadan when you feel like certain times, like a certain challenge, like fasting all day, not drinking
Yes.
anything, like it's its own challenge. And then like sometimes it gets to a point where it's just like you're on autopilot. You want
Right.
like, I mean, I don't know if this is just because I'm weird, but I'm like, no, I want something new. Like, I need some more stimulation right now. Like, I want
That's
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we just saw Kyrie Irving. He just subhanallah converted to Islam. He's
Well, yeah.
playing his basketball game. We saw people fasting and performing at levels. Whether it be Hakeem Olajuwon originally for the Houston Rockets, out there just killing it, crushing it. Or any number of athletes who are Muslim who are out there doing it. So you're in good company, Noor.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Kyrie Irving thing was so like it was a little odd. I don't follow sports at all, right? And then,
Okay.
but I have two friends who do, and they brought it up. So I looked into it, and so I looked at his Twitter account, and I don't condone Twitter. I hate Twitter. Either way, I looked at his Twitter account, and like my friends were like making fun of it because like, oh, like his bio looks weird, and like he changed it. Like, is he even Egyptian? Like, what is going on? Because he had like a pharaoh or something like that as his bio.
Mhm.
And I'm just sitting here like, should we really be making fun of the new convert who has 2.5 million followers on, or 25 million followers, something like that, on Twitter? Like, I guess we
Who
should at
cares how
least
many?
try and be
Who?
more, yeah.
Yeah. Who cares how many followers he has? He's a human being. We shouldn't be making
Well,
fun of him. Period.
yeah, that's true. The only reason I said that is because like possible cultural impact of a new like sort of like
Yeah.
celebrity being Muslim.
But it's crazy to me how people make fun of other people for things they don't understand. Like, actually, there is a very strong connection for people who came from the African continent to have a connection to Egypt and and an origin story from Egypt. So, I mean, those people need to read history.
Yeah, definitely. Like even like the fact that it's not even like his impact on other people, but the fact that like I'm sure he was under a lot of pressure, like being someone who's under the spotlight a lot to just like
Of course.
do something he wants to do something that he feels is right, and then just doing it regardless of what he might have like thought was right or wrong.
It's so
Or
beautiful. It's so commendable. It's so beautiful. And I'm like so proud of him. So proud of him.
Yeah, I don't follow the news either, but in my own bubble, I am too.
I love how Ryan was like, I don't condone Twitter. I love it. Like, it's like
I
this
hate
people.
Twitter, bro. It's the
I don't like,
worst.
bro. I hate it too, bro. Like, I'm not on there. I hate it. I hate it. But I know lots of people love it. So more power to you.
Definitely.
No, if you like Twitter, power should be taken away from you. I don't.
He's like, actually, no. If you like Twitter, you're the worst.
Exactly. No,
All right.
that's a little bit of a joke, but there's I feel a little bit of truth in it. So
all good comedy has a glimmer of truth.
True that.
okay, Yasmin, you have done something absolutely amazing. Okay, you're a mom, you're a lawyer, which I want to talk to you about law, but we have a podcast to record and can't do that right now. But you're also a comedian, which we've mentioned. I'm gonna put my hands away. So now we've talked about how you need a lot of confidence to go out and do it, and you mentioned that you learned that from your child, right? But not all of us have children. Like, alhamdulillah, I am a child. So for us children out here, how do we get that confidence to go and try new things? Because I know I have like 3 like creative endeavors that I want to go on, but I postponed them for a million years because I have other things that I want to do, and I know it's all just excuses.
So what I learned from my child is the ability to take risks and not to be scared of failure, because it's not failure, it's just information for you. It's just a blip on the screen. But where I learned my confidence from is actually my parents and how I was raised. And they raised good. So we have that in common. My parents really raised me to believe that the most important part of myself was this indestructible part of myself that God created, and that was your soul. And that was going to be the thing that lasted way beyond anything temporal, way beyond this life. And so they always taught me and told me that God loves me like fully and wholly because he created me in this indestructible way, that there's this part of me that God made me that fully worthy just by being born, just by being me. That was enough. And that every single second is a party. Like every single second that you're on this earth is about producing good things, being productive, and like living in the gratitude and the joy of that party that's going on inside. Like that's what I always tell everybody. Like the way to gain the most confidence is to think like, I have a party going on inside. You're invited if you want to come. But the minute like you like crash my party and have like a, you know, you make a problem, then I'll just push back, create my little boundaries, and continue on with my party. And if you don't want to come to my party, that's okay, because it's still super fun over here. So you just have to walk through life, I think, that way, which is you're so worthy, you're so loved, you're so deserving, and you've done nothing to really quote unquote deserve that except be born. Like God chose that, and God is an infinite source of abundant love and abundant mercy. And so it's your job to just show gratitude to that, to the creator, and gratitude to being a part of the creation. And that means protecting the creation too. That means being in a state where you're protecting other people, that you're loving on other people, you're giving people mercy, that you're spreading joy, that like your being is a celebration. So that's what I think you should tap into to be more confident. You should also know, because everything is temporal, it's just going to pass, baby. That's all it is. Like this moment, it's going to pass. It's going to be gone. And then what do you have left over? Like you're just a collection of those moments, but there's the leftover piece, the soul piece, the piece that is indestructible, your spirit. It'll go on. It'll go on, and it's going home. So take every single moment that you have on this earth to do something really special and to be in gratitude and happiness, because it's just ephemeral, man. It's all fleeting.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like it's so like underrated that like we take everything that we have in our lives and we just keep it like I don't know, to ourselves enough. Like
Yeah.
it's so fun to like just reflect what you have and like reflect happiness and joy and everything that you have on, like to other people, because not only does it make other people feel good, it makes yourself feel good, because it's not, again, like it's not like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing this because I want to feel like reassurance or I want to feel validation or something. It's like you are doing it kind of because you already have it or something like that.
Yes,
Trying
something
to just,
like that. That's it, Nora. You're already validated. So what is love if you don't share it?
mm-hmm.
So Rahim, the stuff that you're putting away, that you're postponing, we're waiting for it. There is an urgent need for you to share of your gifts and talents. I'm waiting for it. So get out there and do it, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I should stop waiting for it, I guess, then too.
Yes, because we're all waiting, and you have to make the decision to make it available to us. And you can tap into that at any time. You have the power to do that. Again, what is love and what is talent unless you share it? Share it with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you
We're
never
waiting.
put yourself in like environments too where like, again, and even though it's not about like validation or reassurance, you have like a comfortable environment where people around you appreciate you and like continue to like what's the word, like I don't know the
Support
word,
you.
like help, what
Support.
yeah, pretty much.
Assist,
Like yeah,
aid,
support, assist, all these things, like kind of
create
get that
safety.
creative stuff out of you and like make sure that you're feeling good, because even though like, I mean, like I really, really like understand what you're saying, but sometimes like, you know, having that confidence is like easier said than done. It's like having that environment around you saying that like, no, it's okay to do this. Like, no, we want, like, again, what you're doing right now, like, it's okay. We want this. It's expected and everything like that. It's so awesome to have that around you, because it just makes it that much easier, even if it's not.
Yeah.
You know.
So I definitely credit my parents, you know, to have created that kind of safe environment for me to be fully myself and just tell me like, here are the parameters of like what God expects of you. You know, everything else is like permissive. You know, they were very permissive for me to try new things, to be a leader, to speak my mind, to share my thoughts. They were not the haram police. They just weren't. But they did explain to me what was, you know, what was preferable. They explained to me what God wanted of a human being, that God is looking for worship and looking for gratitude and love. And those are the things that I've carried on now. Hopefully my kids will get that message. And my husband's like super, super cool. He's so dope. Like, he's creates like a safe environment for me to spread my wings and fly. So I pray that all the young people out there can find spouses that give them that room, and get to remember God through that process, because that's what you really want. You want to make sure that you're in constant memory of God.
Yeah, and all you 11-year-olds out there, that does not mean you should go out looking right now. Just wait.
That's right. If you're 11, please just chill out.
Yeah.
Please continue tripping over your toys.
Exactly. It's a good place to be.
Look, okay. The only reason Noor and I are actually able to make it here right now, and I'm assuming for Noor, but I know for myself, is that I went to MENA when I was like in like 2017, I think was my first MENA camp, and then my second MENA camp was in 2017. It's just the second MENA camp that my life changed, and if it wasn't for that camp, I would not be here. Maybe, possibly, nope, definitely not as confident as I am now. I definitely would not be as aware of who I am. So
that's awesome.
Do that for somebody else.
MENA changed my life too. I was 10 years old. I'm still very good friends with people that I did MENA Olympics with. We competed against folks in sports, and MENA is a very big part of my upbringing. And we should all support MENA because it gives people the confidence and a safe environment to be fully themselves, which is really beautiful.
And like we're here on our theoretical stand-up comedy stage giving this podcast on Zoom, and obviously this wouldn't have been possible without like connections and everything. And I definitely, again, same as Rahim, if you asked me when I was 13 going to my first MENA camp, I was going to be doing a podcast right now, I probably would have just cried. So that's that.
Well, we're happy you're laughing and not crying. We're happy.
I am too. Very happy about that.
Sometimes both, but we'll see. Either way, I'm gonna bring. So this
make
up
sure you support MENA. Make sure you support MENA. It's important. It's important for our youth. Definitely. To get connections with each other, to be connected to one another.
Yeah, and I'm gonna bring this up later because I think it's an amazing point, and I want to leave the podcast off with it, or at least whatever I say. But Sabrun Jamil, think about it. Giving back, getting back, moving on.
Pretty much the same message we've been saying. It's like we have to there's part of confidence and all of that stuff that comes from within yourself, and then there's part of it that has to do with how you deal with other people, and it probably reciprocates in and of itself. I'm feeling like having you Rahim on this podcast with me, being able to just bounce back and forth ideas and random things and discussions about movies we shouldn't be having. It's probably given me a good boost of confidence that I probably would not have had again. So even if it's not something we're gonna I don't know about you, but I don't think I'm gonna be a professional podcaster when I'm growing up. But I don't think I'm gonna other than that. But it's a really cool way to just try again something new and just kind of roll with it wherever it is. That's fun.
It's awesome.
We talked about MENA just recently, which is essentially that. But I wanted to ask, because this is something that I still haven't asked Noor this actually, but I love to ask everyone who wears hijab. I always want to, but hey, what's your story of actually going and wearing it? Because it's always just fascinating to me that you can actually you have the confidence to do that in itself is just a miracle to me. That's amazing.
So I thought hijab was beautiful from a very early age. When I first came to the United States, I was a refugee, and we came in actually, and some nuns helped us in our resettlement in the United States, and they were putting socks on my feet, and I was just thinking wow, these women are just the humility, the service. They were so kind, so warm, so giving, so loving, and I noticed they were wearing a habit, and I realized that a lot of the women that were in my Libyan refugee community wore hijab, and it inspired me, and it made me feel like that's what's beautiful. That's what's good. That's what I should be aspiring to. And I knew that it was something that was supposed to, we were supposed to wear later on, but I felt what's stopping me? I can wear it right now. So I put it on when I was 8 years old, and my family was like, "Are you crazy? Take that off, live your life." And I'm like, I want to live my life like this. This is actually how I want to live my life. This makes me feel full. But I was going to just tell you that I think that in general, confidence spaces that build your confidence are ones that are safe, that you can be fully yourself. So Mid Olympics is definitely one of them. My local youth group that signed me up for Mid Olympics was one of them. My home, my mom and dad were just like loving and supportive, and they worked their tails off. So they taught me how important it was to have a strong work ethic, but also how to be independent. Learning how to be independent was one of the most important confidence creators for me. So, if we have parents coddling their kids, not giving them responsibility or chores or jobs, like, you are hurting your kids. Your kids need to be independent. They need to know how to stand on their own 2 feet, to be resilient, to be confident that they can make a good decision. And my parents always told me, like, we trust you. We trust you. We trust you to make a good decision. And even when I made bad decisions, oh, you better believe my mom was driving up to that party being like, what are you doing in this party, Yasmin? I was like, oh no. And she's like, I trust you. Remember how I said I trust you? Like, I'm serious about that. But it also means I don't let you go. Like, trusting you means that, like, I'm with you. I'm with you every step of the way. So I just felt loved even when I was disciplined.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's a lot more of a noble story than mine, to be honest. But yeah, mine was. I mean, I was going for. I went to an Islamic school from preschool all the way to ninth grade, and part of the uniform starting fifth grade was that you had to wear hijab, and basically
Okay.
I kind of saw that as like, I don't like this. I don't feel like it should be okay for you to force me to wear something. It's that whole thing that like outsiders see, hijab is oppression or whatever. And like for a bit of time, I kind of saw it as that because I'm like, you're trying to put me in a headspace that I'm not at right now. I'm not like mentally prepared to do this. Obviously, like it's different for everybody, but at the time I was like, I don't really see how this is like fashioning me into the Muslim I should be, and all that stuff. And then, funny enough, I was transferring that ninth grade year. I went to Islamic school ninth grade, and then I was going to a public school 10th grade. And like, funny enough, the first or the week before school started, I was like, okay, we're here. Here I am. Well, here I am going to a school that no one's gonna know who I am. It's gonna be people who like mostly are not Muslims, and mostly people who don't have any idea who I am or who Muslims are. And I basically just said, well, you know what, like, it's time for the job. Like, it's the only thing that's gonna like show who I am in like the most obvious light, which is, this. And yeah, the first day of school was the first time I put it on, and my mom was also like similar. She was like, are you sure? Like, I really don't want you to be making this decision, and I don't want you to be like regretting it and feeling like that you're feeling like hindered or anything like that. And I was just like, like, I just feel like if I didn't do it now, and even certain like if I didn't do it then like if it was like the middle of the school year or like 11th grade or 12th grade, and I did put it on, like people wouldn't like take me seriously or something, and they would, had known me already as the person who wasn't. And I guess that was just my own headspace, and I was like, okay, let's just do it, and I did, and that's just how it is. And then obviously there's been troubles with like running with the hijab and trying to like still be me, who's kind of like, I don't really act like how I really look. I have like thick eyebrows and like a hijab and everything. And I'm like super not like, I guess, reserved as people would like expect me to be or anything like that, or angry because I look angry a lot. But,
I've never gotten that. I don't know. I think that's your own self-ascribed.
You don't look angry. I love your big eyebrows. I got big ones too.
Thank you. Yeah, big eyebrows they're a really cool thing. Yeah, a lot of people. What is it called? It was just a huge thing about like trying to like figure out my identity and like how exactly I looked versus how I acted and everything like that. And yeah, that was it. Kind of how it just flourished from there, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, wait. I wanted to ask because I feel like we didn't catch it, but and we're like running out of time. But I'm gonna ask anyway because I'm interested. So you said that when you were in like around fifth grade or so, you saw the hijab negatively, but I feel like we glossed over how you got to see it in more positive light, how you came to actually wanting to wear it. Like how
Because like I would like I was in a situation where I was like, this is like, when I wasn't like in the summer I wasn't forced to wear it, or like in the times I wasn't, I was like, I felt like, I mean, I was like seeing myself kind of like in hindsight, like what will I be like when I go to this school, and like how is putting on the hijab gonna like affect me? And I was like, it's just gonna give me that part of my identity that might not be that um apparent if you first get to know me, or the way like certain things, like the way the hijab protects you and the way that you're kind of like expected to act with the hijab, like people will expect better even that whole reserved thing, like people will expect you to act in a certain way that's good, you know, like people will know that I have boundaries and they will know that I have certain like things that happen in my life, and I wanted that to show, and like I wanted my own identity to be basically there. And again, that whole process of like not being forced to, and then I was like, well, now it's my choice and I get to make that choice, and I want to make that choice because I feel like it's gonna benefit me more than not. So yeah.
Trend. I can really relate to that, Noor, actually. Like, I feel like that's what kept me wearing hijab. What kept the hijab on my head was feeling like there are boundaries now to the way that people interact with me. I like that. And I want to keep those boundaries for myself so that I don't do things that I regret later because I can't. And just like melt into the background. I want it to be like, oh, I have to hold myself to a certain standard. I mean, that's what the Quran says. It's so that you may be identified. So that you may be identified as Muslim. So that you're not, goes on so that you're not like, so people don't mess with you. This Quran says people don't mess with you, don't harass you.
Yeah.
And so or basically treat you like, unfortunately, like at the time when they were not treated so well. Saw women as property. They saw them as beings that anyone could just take. And the the hijab was an attempt to be like, no, you can't do that. That doesn't fly.
You can't. Exactly. Definitely.
Alhamdulillah, but I say alhamdulillah too much. Okay, so
Never say
yes,
alhamdulillah too much.
yeah, actually that's the truth. That's true. But what I was getting to is like, mix it up, say mashallah sometimes, subhanallah other times,
Yeah, say subhanallah, la ilaha illallah. You have a lot to choose from.
diversify. Okay, but we are gonna make Fatima very mad if we do not end the podcast soon. So sadly we do have to do an outro. So one quick little push, guys, please, minna.org/give, and honestly it should be called minna.org/give-get, because let's be honest, okay, you give like $1 to Minna, right? And let's just take the example of the 2017 winter camp, right? I went to that camp. I was praying like 2 namaz a day, barely, and while I was like a little spiritual, when I came out of that camp, I was praying 5 namaz. I was doing my best. It was a fight, but now I'm like consistent with my namaz. And the people who put on the 2017 winter camp are getting every single one of my namazes sawab. Like, this is not fair. Like, I wish I could get that, and I can by donating to Minna, which I'm going to do, and literally like quadruple my namaz, except it's like every kid that did not pray and now prays that who went to camp. So you're cheating. Go and give money. What the heck aren't you? Look, if you're $5, I mean, if you're 5 years old and you have $5, give it to Minna. Like, trust me, you're investing in your own self by doing that.
Forget a Roth IRA. You got Minna to support you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I gotta say alhamdulillah for that. That is sound financial advice from you, Rahab. Good job.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, financial advice. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, my uncle, he must be so proud of me. All right. Yasmin, is there any last words you'd like to utter?
I just want to thank you guys. You guys are both pretty amazing, inshallah. It's so nice to be able to speak to this age group. I feel like this age group doesn't really follow me on Instagram, doesn't really know about me. And I invite you to see if there's something that on my page that you might like on Instagram, any kind of confidence building, boosting thing, anything that makes you feel like you can kind of understand why your parents do what they do, or the relationships that you want to have in your life and you want to model, and you want to think about, come over to my page. I'm so blessed to have been on here to talk to you guys, and I just want you guys to know, like, you guys really are the future. So if you're not feeling so hot, get help. Make sure that you talk to people. Make sure you have a community. Minna offers that, but if you can't, if you feel intimidated, go talk to somebody. Understand that any feelings that you have, especially negative feelings, are just fleeting. It's gonna get better. It does always go away, and there's a part of you that's just indestructible that you have to tap into, because everything else is just illusions. So just like hold on to the truth, as hard as you can. And the truth is that we're all going home. We're all going to Allah. We're all going back to God. So just make sure you prep. Do as much as you can. Live in the most beautiful way.
Word. Five.
Yeah, subhanallah. Yeah, that's like Imam Ghazali right there. Literally put from Imam Ghazali. I'm saying he said that as well. I'm not comparing you to Imam Ghazali. Not that that wouldn't be a bad thing because he's not like a prophet or anything, so it's fine.
But he says it much more eloquently. He has a book called The Path of the Worshipful Servants that I actually would recommend that everybody read. It's an incredible book about how to be spiritually disciplined, but it's definitely some next level stuff. It ain't like, it's not like introductory. It's
look, start with Minicamp and then go
need to
and
dive
read the
in.
book. Yeah.
Exactly. Go to Minicamp first, then pick up Imam al-Ghazali's The Path of the Worshipful Servants. So like Noor and Rahim, you're ready.
Yeah.
And we are about to end this episode of the podcast. Make sure to tune in like 2 weeks to see our next episode, something like that. We'll have more guests and conversations. I think our next episode will be a little bit more intimate with just Noor and I, but there's no promises.
Yeah, and in case you haven't noticed already, We the Youth is a production of Minna, the Muslim Youth of North America. They have a ton of resources, and you can check them on minna.org or on Instagram at Minna National. And if you have an interesting story to tell or know any other youth that does, fill out the form in the show notes, probably in the description, to be a possible guest on We the Youth.
Yeah, and no, Noor already said my part. But that's cool too. Okay, last final plug. Donate. I've already told you everything you need to know, and if you haven't already donated, it's okay. I'll forgive you.
It's okay. It's just 1minute.org away /give.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, then I'm Noor. I mean, I did this again. This is the second time that's happened. Oh my goodness.
I'm Noor.
I'm Rahim.
I'm Yasmin.
Yeah, okay. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.